So it's time to quit Audible. If you haven't already, it's time. So the new Audible Plus that everyone's been talking about, if you haven't heard about it, it's the new Plus catalog. There's a lot of books that you can now listen to at the price of just 1 credit a month. You can have access to the Plus catalog, and you can listen to as many books in that Plus catalog as you'd like. Now, it's important to recognize that authors who have their books in the Plus category have agreed to exclusively sell their audiobooks to just Amazon Audible.
It is officially Audible season. Audible, an Amazon company, has announced a new way to over authors that claims to raise their pay while actually distributing it to authors who are in their Plus catalog. A place authors can only get into if they agree to sell books exclusively through Amazon. A predatory business practice. If an author used to get $3 for a book, they will now, depending on how you, the consumer, use the product, get as little as a few pennies. The Plus catalog allows you to listen to whatever you want every month, and that may sound like a good thing for you, but when has a business ever done anything to benefit you in the long run? This is a move, one of many by Amazon companies in recent years, to further exploit authors and reduce their revenue. But what do you think happens when authors can no longer pay their bills? When there isn't enough money in it to properly edit or take the time to revise because they need to throw out another slop book every few months just to make ends meet? I know this doesn't affect the Stephen Kings of the world, but it affects countless mid-list authors, many of whom you love, who rely on that income. Capitalism and art have always gone in tandem, whether the public likes to admit that or not. But what you're watching is how capitalism ruins art. It is the definition of prioritizing quantity over quality. So from the depths of my soul, Audible, and to literally any other audiobook company, hit me up. I'd be happy to give a free shout out.
So obviously this impacts authors drastically. So say you have a $14.99 credit, you have that base tier Audible credit and you get that every month. So you pick out a book with your credit and it goes, you get your book, you choose your book, and then you also listen to 3 other books in the Plus catalog. What happens is that $14.99 credit gets split amongst the 3 plus the 4, so the one that you chose and the 3 books that you listened from the Plus catalog, that money gets spread out amongst all of that. And so you can see how little that becomes, because authors, they get about 25 to 30% of an Audible book if they are not exclusive. So they get 25 to 30% of that $14.99 credit if you choose not to listen to anything in the Plus catalog. So say they get 30%, so they get $4.50-ish of your purchase, and then say you listen to 3 other books in the Plus catalog, we'll divide that by 4, so they get $1.12-ish of that purchase if you choose to use the Plus catalog. If you are exclusive to Audible and you choose to just use Amazon or Audible for your audiobooks, then you get 45 to 50%. So that's significantly higher. And this is very different than the market for ebooks. Ebooks, you get about 70% back. And also, audiobooks are just so expensive to create. So it's almost like saying, hey, authors, screw you for creating audiobooks. It's just kind of making it really hard to make any money from an audiobook in this industry. And they're monopolizing the industry in such a ridiculous way at this point.
Hey, we got a problem. These checks that I've been getting these last few months haven't been adding up to the 50% royalty that we agreed upon. What's going on? Really? Well, let me take a look, see if I can do something for you. Oh, yeah, that's because you're not in the unlimited pool. Why would it matter if I'm in the unlimited pool or not? Somebody buys my book, I should get the 50% of what my book is listed as. Well, actually, they didn't buy your book. They used a token on your book. And because we like to be complicated here at Audible, Amazon, when somebody uses a token on your book, we actually take the money from that token and spread it around to other things that they listen to within the month. You see, this person actually spent their token on your book, which is listed at $20. $20, that's pretty good. And then they also listened to 3 other books in the unlimited pool. So after the month was over, we then allocated the money from that token and spread it around the books that they spent their time listening to. Isn't that great? So instead of $10, you get $5 for your book. But wait, because then we apply the 50% royalty. So instead of $5, because we like to be complicated over here, you actually end up with $2.50 as your royalty. Okay, so let me get this straight. Your subscribers are paying you a monthly fee to listen to books in the unlimited pool. And then you give them a token to spend on books that are not in the unlimited pool? Uh huh. And then the money from that token, you spread it around to other items that they listen to throughout the month. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. You got it.
You're an Audible member, you spend a monthly amount and you get your token.
Give me
and
my
then you
money.
can use that token on audiobooks that are not exclusive to Audible. That's perfectly fine, and that's what a lot of people are using their tokens on. And so what happens here is that, you know, they're providing this extra plus service, but they're monetizing it through the authors. So the authors in this situation are the scapegoat. They are basically taking a way less cut of that royalty because Audible made this change to their library, fundamental change to their library. And in no other industry would this work. For example, you have a subscription to a grocery store. Let's say you get delivered a pound of broccoli every week and you spend your credit and you choose to get your pound of broccoli and it comes from this one farm. But then you decide you can get they also add this other stuff to the catalog and you can get as much as you want, unlimited vegetables from all these other farms in your state, and you don't have to pay any extra for that. So then you get your pound of broccoli, but then you can choose from that unlimited pool. But then the farmer that sends you that broccoli every week, you know, you pay them probably $1. And so they are losing money on that broccoli. And eventually they're going to want to move away from that delivery service because they're losing money. Does that make more sense? Then you got all these other vegetables and everybody gets a tiny cut. But no one's really making a lot of money from this. It's a bad deal all around for the authors, and it's a good deal for the person who's getting all of this stuff for next to nothing. But it also means that you're going to see a lot less quality in audiobooks, and we'll get into that too. But first, I just wanted to mention indie authors may sometimes choose a royalty sharing option, which means that they have to use Audible in order to even have an audiobook in the market. So many authors are stuck on Audible and don't have any options. And in that case, I think it's okay to buy those books because in a lot of situations, these indie authors have no choice, but that book is stuck on Audible and they can make some money on that, you know, legitimately through Audible, and they can't remove it from Audible. And so there's a situation where, you know, they're being hurt because it's exclusive to Audible and people are turning away from Audible too. So it's kind of like a catch-22 for sure.
Audible is undercutting authors and narrators again, and we are seeing another major egress of readers from this platform to other preferable and remarkably supportable platforms like Libby and Libro FM. I have no complaints about readers taking their support and putting it where they choose. But here's the thing. My books are on Audible. They are exclusive to Audible for the next 6 to 7 years, and I will not be able to change that no matter how much I want. Because I made my books with the royalty share option with my narrator, which requires the books to be exclusive to Audible for the aforementioned timeframe, and currently Audible is the only platform that has a royalty share option for audiobook production. I saw a comment on a post recently that said, I really think readers will follow authors to other platforms if they go, so why don't authors leave Amazon and Audible platforms? And I understand the sentiment. I purchase books outside of the Audible and Amazon platforms whenever that's an option, but I still use Audible and Amazon because there's a reason authors are on there. When I published Due North in 2020, I published wide, meaning that while Due North was on KDP and Amazon, the ebook was also on every other platform, including Kobo, Barnes & Nobles, iBooks, and Requestable on Libby. And I had zero traction in any of those spaces because I didn't have the budget or the support to make it visible wide. It wasn't until I put my book in Kindle Unlimited that I was able to attract a readership, small as it may be. And even then, I'm limited by the lack of advertising budget. And I'm in the same situation with the production of the audiobook. Just like so many other indie authors, I chose a royalty share option to produce an audiobook in order to have an audiobook option, which is an accessibility option for so many people for so many reasons. I don't know if I would make that same choice again. I'm not telling anyone who refuses to use Amazon or Audible to go buy or listen to my books. I'm not the boss of you, and I don't set your ethical purchasing compass. But I can ask that if you use Audible or Kindle Unlimited to support indie authors in the same or similar situations, that you consider supporting me, along with so many other indie authors. In the same breath, might I suggest that you consider these platforms to exclusively support indie authors? If a book is available via another platform, I recommend accessing it there. And if you are listening on Audible, please make certain you are supporting human voices, written and spoken. Your choice to support these works en masse will inform the royalty and business models moving forward. And your choices give indie authors a chance to build platforms in this impacted space.
Ooh, these books look good. So there you have it from an author explaining why their books are on Audible exclusively, and so asking for that support while also understanding when people don't want to support Amazon Audible, but they're kind of like, hey, my book is stuck there for 6 to 7 years. So that is just incredibly predatory on Amazon's part. For them to put authors in this situation where they cannot take their book off of that platform. It's just insane. That author also mentioned an issue with AI voices, and we'll talk about that now. So they announced in May of this year that they'd start using AI voices. Authors and publishers can opt out of having AI voices read their books.
So Audible just announced that they are going to be using AI technology to produce audiobooks end to end. This is the news we all knew was coming, and we just hadn't seen it written down, I don't think. This sucks, right? This sucks. But what I will say is AI is here, and it's here to stay. So what are we going to do about that? We need to find ways around the beast. Of course, Audible is using this in audiobooks. It's way cheaper. It's way cheaper than hiring an audiobook producer, hiring a narrator, going through the whole process. Of course, they're going to do it. Amazon will do anything to save a dime. Now, what we can do is authors and publishers can opt out. This is probably going to be the most important thing that can be done, that authors say, you know what, I don't want my book narrated by a weird robot voice. That, by the way, is not there yet. Now, it might be there. It might be there in terms of quality in a couple years. I'm not denying that. But it is up to the author to say, I am choosing a human voice to tell my human story. Now, if it's not a human story, maybe go with AI. I don't know. But most of these stories are human stories that should be told by human voices. That's just my personal belief. Authors can opt out. Publishers can opt out. Production studios can opt out. And I think they should. Obviously, I think they should. I'm an audiobook narrator. I also know that this is going to be something we're dealing with for the rest of our careers. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe in our voices. And we have to know that we are better than AI.
So personally, I don't want AI anywhere near my audiobooks. I need a human voice to be narrating the audiobook. I just feel like the emotion that you get out of a human voice is so much better. It doesn't matter if it's cheaper. I don't care if it's cheaper. I'd rather spend more money and have a real audiobook read by a real person. Also, I just wanted to mention that virtual voices have been used on Amazon for years, but it sounds like what they announced in May of this year is just something that they are expanding a lot. And as that narrator just mentioned, AI is everywhere and it's here to stay. It's getting its dirty claws on everything. And so it's really, we're finding ways around it by letting authors and publishers know that they can opt out of having these AI narrations on their book.
But if I was an audiobook narrator, I would be losing it right now.
Yeah, no, we are losing it right now, and it doesn't matter. We've seen this slowly approaching for years now. We've talked about it, we've petitioned against it. We've tried and often failed to protect our own voices and likenesses and recordings. I don't mean to be all doom and gloom, but like, this is the capitalist machine. We're not going to have an effect on it. It is just going to continue leaning more and more on AI, and we're actively doing things about it, and it's not stopping it. The only thing that might stop it, though, is the consumer end of things, because who the hell wants to listen to an audiobook narrated by AI? It's not going to compare. Or it will, and then we're all fucked anyway. But this is such a huge part of my life, and it's such a huge industry, and it really is terrifying to think that 60-70% of my business could just, for the past 5 years, I have taught audio production specifically for audiobook narrators and voiceover artists. I have narrated audiobooks myself. I love narrating. But most of my work in the audiobook industry is as an engineer and an editor. And I love doing that. And the thought that those jobs can just disappear is terrifying. We don't need AI artists. We need to support human creatives. AI, I mean, if you ask me, we don't even need AI, but it's here and it's going to be used no matter what. So can it please be used to automate things that make sense, that free up time and resources for people to live more fulfilling lives? Wasn't that the point?
There is a chance at the consumer end that consumers and readers reject AI voices in a way that could tell Amazon, hey, we don't want this. If we reject them, we don't listen to them, we're not using them, we're not listening to them, we're not buying them, we're not purchasing them, we're not putting, where you put your money, it's a statement to the universe saying that you want more of that thing. And the capitalist machine that we live in will continue giving more of that thing. And if we don't put our money towards it, it could help, say it's kind of a vote, essentially saying that you're not interested. And so there are also some people saying that AI narration is no different than text-to-speech. It's not the same. Text-to-speech is an accessibility feature, and it's quite different. AI voices is Amazon steamrolling an industry in the name of accessibility, but this is not in the name of accessibility, and it has nothing to do with that. Not only are they planning on using AI voices to narrate the book, but they're also going to use AI for translation services to translate books and then read them. And by huge coincidence, I am helping a friend of mine rework a translated book that's been translated from Chinese because someone just threw it into Google Translate and tried to make it work, but now they're trying to make it sound more like an actual novel. So because of that, you can't just throw something in a translator and expect it to sound great. It's not there yet. Like, our tools are nowhere near that. And just to talk a little bit more about what text-to-speech is, text-to-speech hired a bunch of voice actors in the beginning, and then they had them say a bunch of words and syllables and phrases and sounds, and then they created the algorithm to piece it all together. So that is very different than what Audible here is using, because they're exclusively using machine learning and AI to create an AI voice rather than using genuine voices and sounds to create that speech. Right now, and it's always been Amazon's, plan, and Audible's plan is to flood the market with so many books and so much content that no other company could even compete. And that is their plan in this, is to flood the market. Remember, it's all about money. If there wasn't money involved, none of this would be happening, but they can make money out of it. So this is why they're doing it. Follow the money, consider that as the motive. So what are some viable alternate options for Audible? It's been mentioned in a couple of the videos earlier, but there's Libby, which if you go to your library, you can get a library card for free. Then you can download the Libby app and you can listen to so many audiobooks. If you're in Pennsylvania and you live anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania, you can get the Philly Free Library for free, and you can also get the Pittsburgh Library card. No matter where you live. So that's the Carnegie Library System. That will give you access to whatever you want, except if it's Audible only, you're not going to find it on Libby. And that's the one case where it's okay to buy an indie author's audiobook on Audible, because there's a reason why their book is there. They can't have it anywhere else, or go right to the author's website and buy their physical book from them specifically, or go to an indie bookstore and buy the actual physical book. Other than that, if you want an audiobook and it's exclusive to Audible, there's a reason why it's exclusive. There's also Libro FM. Libro FM, I haven't used them personally, but I've heard that they have amazing sales. So if you really love a good sale, check out Libro FM. You can get your audiobooks for the same price, if not less, than Audible. So I would definitely check it out. And they are also through an indie bookstore of your choice. So you're benefiting an indie bookstore and you're getting a really decent price on an audiobook. What's not to love? And there's also Kobo. Kobo I haven't used either, but it's out there and you can use it. If you come across an indie book and you really want the audiobook and it's only available on Amazon through Audible, then there's likely a reason they are probably stuck in some sort of, exclusive contract. And so you can go ahead and listen to that and support them through that venue. But I would look for any other audiobooks everywhere else. So if you're looking for a book, go ahead and check Libro FM, go ahead and check Libby, make sure it's available nowhere else before you go ahead and spend money on Audible. Because Audible is, as we see, the devil in this situation, and they are steamrolling, monopolizing the audiobook industry, and it's been happening for a while now. And it makes sense, it's a company that wants to make money, and there's AI that they can use, so they are starting to use that more and more. I mean, that all makes sense. And as consumers, what we can do is use our money as a vote to basically say, no, I want to do this instead, because companies will follow money, and the only way to really see reasonable change in this pocket of this terrible piece of capitalism is to send your money to where you want it to go. Send it directly to the author if you can. You have your own values. Do whatever you can to kind of make that vote to that company and say, no, I'd rather not have an AI voice. No, I'm only going to get certain exclusive Audible books from you, only when I absolutely have to. I would find any way around using Audible if possible, but you heard from that one author, they are stuck with them, so there's a lot of that kind of thing happening. But I would, if you're not an audiobook person, or if you only occasionally listen to audiobooks, then just get Libby. I used to have Audible. I used to pay for it every month. And then I discovered Libby, and I was like, what am I doing? That's so dumb. Why am I paying for Audible when you can get Libby, and the authors get paid through the library, and they get their money, and you get to read the book, and it's great. So why not? And before anyone comes at me saying, this is the world, this is AI, everything's going to AI, there's nothing you can do about it. There's other inventions that have happened, and artists have had to find ways around them. But there's never been an invention like AI. I work in technology, and I also am a writer. So I feel like I'm especially qualified to be able to speak on this. I work with AI in my job every day. There are things that AI is good at and should be doing, maybe helping make my job easier. But when it comes to art, it's creating art. And it's the first time in our human history that we have had something actually create things on its own. If you think back to every other dang invention in human creation, it's always been something that's needed someone to learn how to use it in such a way. Like, for example, if you look back at every other invention that has moved the human race forward, it has always been something that couldn't create on its own. A printing press needs words, needs a human to be able to write those words out, to be able to print those words. Lights, that's an invention that, changed a lot about the world, but for the better. But lights can't create a book. Lights can't create art. It's creating something, and nothing in our human history has been able to create on its own. So I would argue, if someone comes at me in the comments saying like, AI is here to stay, I get it, I know that, I use it in my job, but first of all, I don't want it in my art. AI has no place in art. It has absolutely no place. You want to know what's going to happen 10 years from now if we do nothing but have AI art everywhere? You are going to get recycled content, trash content. emotionless content. It's going to be reused and reused and reused. You are going to have uninspired content over and over again. Books that you're reading will just be recycled versions of other books forever and ever. Nothing new. You can expect nothing new, nothing creative, nothing good to come out of that. So I will argue that all day. This is an invention that we have never experienced anything like it in human history. There's basically a line here dividing before AI and after AI, and how we choose to move forward will impact the future of all art and all humanity. And our culture is important, but we could take our culture and we could feed it to a machine to make it generic and awful. But I would argue that we shouldn't do that. And I hope that a lot of people watching this video would agree with me. But this is not just any old invention out there. This is significantly different, and it's nothing like we've experienced in human history before. And it will make things easier if we choose to use it for things to make things easier. But let's not let AI gobble up our art and make things awful. And AI will replace jobs. We know that. But I don't want it to replace my art. Our art is our culture. And if we lose our culture, where are we? Okay, I'll get off my soapbox a little bit about that one, but thank you so much for spending the time to watch this whole video. I really appreciate you. I'm a new YouTuber. I'm very, very new. I would appreciate a like on this video if you enjoyed it. So if you want to put a comment, tell me what you thought about the video. Are you someone who subscribes to Audible? That's okay if you are. I used to. It's totally fine. You don't have to be embarrassed to say it. Are you someone who has another way, another company that makes audiobooks that you want to suggest to everybody? Let everybody know where to go to get their audiobooks. Are you an author? Are you exclusively on Audible? What would you say we should do? How do we support you? Should we go to Audible to get your book? What do you want us to do? Any of those comments are so welcome. Also, if you consider subscribing to me, I post every Thursday and every Sunday all about book event, book talk drama, but also I'm going to start some videos talking about something else, and it's a surprise. And if you want to learn about it, hit subscribe and you'll learn. But thank you so much for spending the time watching this video. I do appreciate you. Have a good rest of your day, and bye.